The following video was created as a class project. No copyright infringement was intended. This video is for educational purposes only. Human beings have always been fascinated by competition, feats of physical achievement, and collaboration. All of those qualities are encapsulated in sports, which creates bonds, inspires us to push ourselves, and gives us figures to root for. I'm Tommy Korobanis, and I'm here to talk about the influences sports have on American culture, both positive and negative. We'll start with, who doesn't love a good story? Since ancient Greece, society has been compelled by conflict of heroes and villains through glorious action or gripping drama. We can get that same feeling from sports. According to sports narratives, sports events are fundamentally defined by opposing forces engaged in athletic contests that typically are structured around a clear beginning, middle, and end. Similar to Hollywood movies, sporting events carry that same structure, but with a crucial difference: the uncertain outcomes. Other than the WWE, sports are unscripted and unpredictable, giving us larger-than-life characters like John L. Sullivan, heralded as the original strongman. He competed in boxing matches, taught the youth by traveling the country, and even starred in several films. People also identify with the underdog story, where an average Joe down on their luck uses sport as an outlet for expression as they pursue success and happiness. With infinite storylines and protagonists, sports are a way for young men and women alike to discover myths and heroes to model themselves after, pushing them for that same success. But sometimes, that pursuit can have consequences. Similar to playing rough with our siblings growing up, that thrill can evolve into contact sports. With football in particular, men find joy in physically dominating an opponent, along with the strategy and teamwork that goes along with the game. That same brutality we find so enjoyable can be equally as dangerous. A problem that runs rampant in the NFL for many years is the controversy around chronic traumatic encephalopathy, more commonly known as CTE. This disease is onset by repeated trauma to the brain, leaving many former athletes with mental degeneration. It's more disturbing to consider that with CTE, the symptoms aren't presented until after death, so it's difficult to prevent. This delay makes it harder for insurance companies to protect victims of CTE in sports programs at all levels. ESPN wrote an article on the challenges insurance companies face in regards to head trauma. In insurance parlance, traumatic brain injury is a long-tail claim that might take years to develop, then pay out indefinitely in the form of costly legal fees and medical bills. Because of costs and liabilities, many insurance companies have backed out of the sports industry, and there's been a steady decrease in youth participation due to fear parents have for the long-term effects of their kids playing sports like football. There's still many kids around the country who continue to join youth sports like Little Leagues and Pop Warner, and for good reason. Youth sports gives kids an avenue to get involved in their community while developing healthy habits of exercise. According to studies published for Project Play, leisure time physical activity is associated with reduced risk of 13 different types of cancer. It also reduces obesity, as well as strengthens mental health and social skills. Also important, sports teach kids the values of teamwork, persevering through adversity, and accountability. When we grow older, that accountability aspect becomes more important, especially for men. A lot of young men are able to flip the switch between their aggressions on the field and having discipline, respect, and restraint off the field. When that switch is broken, it's a recipe for disaster. Many people don't realize the effects sports have on the identity of men. When someone finds success by dominating their opponents, that can overcome their identity, forcing them to find their value only in the sport they play. Some will mistreat others off the field, including women. According to Jerry Brewer of the Washington Post, in sports, such a miseducation creates a cozy ecosystem for sexual abuse and harassment for all forms of violence and mistreatment of women. A climate reaped from the early belief that we're merely allowing boys to be boys. It's important for people to use their platforms to identify these issues so indifference doesn't continue. The rise of professional athletes endorsing practices like therapy are moving masculinity in the right direction. Sports are important to culture, but what about the economy? A major influence to why American sporting culture has stood the test of time is because of the money it brings in. The market size for American sports has steadily increased over the years, with over $160 billion expected to be earned over the next 2 years. In 2021, the NCAA generated a record-breaking $1.16 billion in revenue, which is over $500 million gain from 2020 due to the pandemic's halt on the industry. Despite scholarships allowing for underprivileged youth to play the sport they love while getting an education, many college athletes struggle to support themselves financially. With developments in name, image, and likeness opportunities for college athletes, star players can now leverage their appeal through endorsements they were previously banned from. But that's only a small fraction of the student-athlete pool. Gambling has opened up opportunities for spectators to get in on the action. Sports has its roots in gambling, with pubs and taverns hosting blood sports like bare-knuckle boxing in 19th century London for wagering citizens. Sure, these were breeding grounds for degenerates and adulterers to thrive, but this allowed for spectators to make money off sports without being directly involved in the competition. In 2021, the legal sports betting market doubled, with $52.7 billion wagered. Even though some gamblers have issues with moderation and many student athletes feel unsatisfied with their cut of the pie, participants, employees, and owners of the sports industry all have the opportunity to cut a slice. In conclusion, there's aspects of our sports culture that need improvement, but the positives well outweigh the negatives. There's a charm in sports that captivates the public, with emotional shifts and awe-inspiring spectacles that we love to consume. To sharing stories, to watching our favorite players on the biggest stages, to cheering on our loved ones and kids, sports have intertwined with the fabric of what it means to be American. This is Tony Corbanis. Thanks for watching.